On Christmas Day in 800 AD, Charlemagne was crowned Emperor of the Romans by Pope Leo III in St. Peter's Basilica, Rome. The event marked the revival of the Western Roman Empire, and the soldiers present felt the gravity of the moment, understanding that their leader was now the most powerful man in Christendom. The cold winter air inside the basilica was heavy with the scent of incense as the echoes of chanting monks filled the space, solidifying Charlemagne's divine right to rule. Charlemagne's empire stretched across vast territories, from the Pyrenees to the Danube, and his armies were the force that unified these lands. The soldiers, hardened by numerous campaigns, marched tirelessly through forests, mountains, and rivers, overcoming diverse and challenging terrains. Despite the harsh climates they encountered, from scorching summers to freezing winters, the troops were driven by a shared purpose: to bring all of Europe under a single Christian ruler. Charlemagne's 30-year campaign against the pagan Saxons was one of his most arduous military endeavors. The dense forests and cold winters of northern Europe were as formidable as the Saxons themselves, with soldiers often battling exhaustion and frostbite. Despite these challenges, the troops pressed on, fueled by their emperor's vision of a unified Christian empire. In 782 AD, after years of relentless warfare, Charlemagne ordered the execution of 4,500 Saxon prisoners at Verdun. The soldiers, though loyal to Charlemagne, were troubled by the brutality of the order, carrying out the executions under a grey, oppressive sky. This event sent a powerful message across Europe: resistance to Charlemagne's rule would not be tolerated. In 773 AD, Charlemagne led his troops over the snow-covered Alps to confront the Lombards in Italy. The soldiers faced treacherous mountain passes and bitter cold, their movements slow and deliberate as they descended into Italy. Despite the harsh conditions, their discipline held firm, and their victory over the Lombards secured Charlemagne's control over northern Italy and strengthened his alliance with the Pope. Under Charlemagne's rule, Europe experienced a revival of learning, art, and culture known as the Carolingian Renaissance. Scholars, artists, and intellectuals gathered at his court in Aachen, where ancient texts were copied and new ideas flourished. The soldiers who guarded these centers of learning understood the importance of protecting this cultural revival, which would have a lasting impact on European civilization. Charlemagne saw himself as the protector of Christianity, using his military might to spread the faith across Europe. His soldiers, marching under the cross, fought to convert pagan tribes through force and persuasion. The cold nights spent in camps were often filled with prayers as the troops sought divine favor for their mission to spread Christianity. Charlemagne's palace at Aachen became the heart of his empire, a symbol of both political power and cultural revival. The soldiers who stood guard at Aachen marveled at the grand chapel and the bustling activity of scholars, artisans, and nobles. Aachen's importance as a center of power reflected Charlemagne's vision of a unified and culturally rich empire. To govern his vast empire, Charlemagne established the Missi Dominici, royal agents who traveled throughout the empire to enforce his laws. Accompanied by soldiers, these agents ensured that the emperor's decrees were followed, even in the most remote regions. This system helped maintain order and strengthened the central authority of Charlemagne's rule. Charlemagne extended his influence into the Iberian Peninsula, where his troops clashed with the Muslim rulers of Al-Andalus. The soldiers endured the scorching heat of the Iberian sun and the challenges of fighting in unfamiliar terrain. Despite these obstacles, they successfully secured a foothold in northern Spain, further expanding Charlemagne's empire. In 778 AD, Charlemagne's rearguard was ambushed by Basque forces at Roncevaux Pass, leading to a crushing defeat. The narrow mountain pass and the element of surprise left the soldiers vulnerable, their cries echoing through the mist-shrouded mountains. The loss at Roncevaux was a rare and humbling defeat for Charlemagne, later immortalized in the epic poem The Song of Roland. After conquering the Lombard kingdom, Charlemagne integrated its territories into his empire, allowing Lombard nobles to retain their lands and titles under his rule. The soldiers who remained in Italy helped ensure loyalty and stability, demonstrating Charlemagne's ability to govern a diverse empire. This integration strengthened the unity of the empire and highlighted Charlemagne's diplomatic skills. Charlemagne's coronation as Emperor of the Romans in 800 AD marked the official beginning of the Holy Roman Empire, a political entity that would shape Europe for centuries. The soldiers who served under Charlemagne became the first imperial army, tasked with defending a realm that claimed the legacy of the ancient Romans. This new identity provided a sense of purpose and pride as they saw themselves as the protectors of a revived Roman Empire. Charlemagne's emphasis on education led to the establishment of schools across the empire, where the children of nobles, clergy, and soldiers were taught to read and write. This focus on literacy and learning ensured that Charlemagne's legacy would endure as a more educated populace began to shape the future of Europe. The soldiers, often from humble backgrounds, saw their own children rise through the ranks of this new, educated class. After Charlemagne's death, the Treaty of Verdun in 843 AD divided his empire among his grandsons, marking the beginning of its fragmentation. The soldiers, once united under a single emperor, now found themselves serving different rulers, leading to uncertainty and the weakening of the empire's cohesion. This division set the stage for the future political landscape of Europe, where regional powers would emerge and compete. Despite its eventual fragmentation, Charlemagne's empire left a lasting legacy in Europe. The administrative structures, cultural revival, and Christianization efforts he initiated continued to influence European states long after his death. Soldiers and statesmen looked back on Charlemagne's reign as a golden age, a time when Europe was united under a strong, capable leader. As central authority weakened, local lords and nobles gained more power, leading to the rise of feudalism. Soldiers who had once served the emperor now found themselves beholden to local lords, exchanging military service for protection and land. This shift in power dynamics changed the nature of warfare and governance, laying the foundations for medieval Europe. The Holy Roman Empire, which claimed to be the successor to Charlemagne's realm, was deeply influenced by his legacy. The soldiers of the Holy Roman Empire saw themselves as heirs to Charlemagne's vision, fighting to maintain the unity and power he had established. This legacy continued to shape European politics and military campaigns for centuries. Charlemagne's efforts to spread Christianity across Europe laid the foundation for a unified Christian identity in the continent. The soldiers who had fought to convert pagan tribes helped establish the Church's authority, ensuring that Christianity became the dominant faith in Europe. This religious unity played a crucial role in shaping European culture and society. Charlemagne's empire may have fractured, but its impact on Europe was profound and lasting. The cultural, political, and religious foundations he laid continued to influence European history for centuries. The soldiers who fought under Charlemagne helped create an empire that would be remembered as one of the most significant forces in shaping the history of Europe. Our journey through time comes to an end for today. We embark on new adventures every week. If you relish the experience, please like and subscribe.